Welcome back to C4 Fin Arts, everyone. Today I'm going to show you how I make realistic fishing lure eyes. It is a super simple process. I use it for all the fishing lures that I make, and I'm never going to go back to buying lure eyes online. If you guys find this video helpful, please help me out, like this video, subscribe, and leave a comment down below of what you want me to make next. But let's get started making realistic fishing lure eyes. So the first step is going to be get some painter's tape, and we're going to use that as something to stick the lure eyes onto. Okay, so now we have our painter's tape, no sticky side on either side, so now it's time to cut out the sticker paper. Honestly, I think you could probably just use painter's tape, but this makes it easier because it does have the backing on it that you can peel off. Then the next thing we'll need is just something to put underneath of it, and then this is what we use. It's just a bullet casing. I'm sure there's probably some punches you can buy, but this is just what I had on hand. So take a hammer, your punch on, give it a good whacking, and do that as many times as eyes that you need. So you can see they're already kind of falling out the back. I just use a wire and then I push them out this wider end. So then I take an X-Acto knife and then just use that to kind of get in between the backing, and then stick it on. We'll do that for every single one. Okay, we got all our stickers stuck onto our piece of painter's tape. So next we're going to start painting. So first color I'm going to start off with, it's something I mixed myself a while ago, and I don't remember exactly how I made it, but there's brown and gold and I think a little bit of red in it. So mix up your own paint, make it whatever you want it to look like, but you can just follow these general guidelines. So as you can see, I didn't really lay it on very thick the first coat. I recommend doing some thin coats first, and then once you actually get some paint onto the paper, you can kind of lay it on a little bit thicker. Alright, so for the next step, I've got a little bit of gold paint and a toothbrush. I'm going to put some gold paint down, probably get my toothbrush just a little bit wet, and then I will use that to just kind of flick and sprinkle gold paint all over the eyes. Next, we're just going to go in with some black. Okay, so make sure that your paint is fully dry, and then we're going to go with a Sharpie and just mark in the center of each eye, and then that'll help us line up the pupil. Alright, so I actually went and sprinkled some more black on, and then tested the pupil size one, so that is what they're going to be looking like. So this is the stencil I have. I have black in my airbrush. The trick is to not overspray because then it'll shoot out the sides, and then also just use very little PSI and use the air coming out of your airbrush to kind of dry the paint as you go. Alright, so we got our pupils painted on, and now it's actually time to make them 3D. So we got this Illuma UV, which is just a UV resin, and that is what we're going to be using to make the eyes 3D. You can use epoxy, but it's a little harder to work with. This stuff is nice because when you get a few that are the right size, you can hit it with UV and it'll kind of cure it at least enough to where it's not going to move. But epoxy, you don't really have that option, and it's kind of hard to not have bubbles. But epoxy does work, but UV resin is definitely better. So we're just going to use like a piece of wire and essentially just get some on here, dab it on, and then the surface tension of the resin should help it to form around the edges. Some of them, sometimes it kind of flows off of the stickers, but those you just don't use. But for the most part, there should just be resin around the edges, and then it'll create a nice eyeball shape. I will say, whenever you go ahead and cure the ones that you have with your UV light, make sure that the resin that you have isn't near, or else you might end up curing it in the bottle or in the lid or whatever you're using. So we're just going to take our light and kind of put that over it for a little bit, and then that should help those to not flow off of the sticker. And we're just going to kind of repeat that process. Every couple we'll hit it with the light and then keep on trucking. So here you can see kind of the difference between having just the regular painted eyes and then having this nice 3D resin over top of it. We've got all of our eyeballs with some UV resin on them, and now we're just going to have our UV light right here and just prop it up like that. Just let those sit underneath there for a couple of hours until they are fully cured, and then they will be ready to put on some lures. Alright, here is the finished product. See, they're nice and cured. They are ready to go on some fishing lures. Also went ahead and made some larger ones too. You can see they work well on these glide baits that I make. Here are the eyes on just a couple of different crankbaits that I've finished. So you can see they go very well with these natural patterns. And also, something you can do, I will paint them black, and they work very well for these crankbait or these crawdad patterns. Also, side note, if you are interested in buying some crankbaits, these are all wooden, hand-carved, hand-painted. Check out my Etsy. I'll have some up for sale there, or you can DM me on Instagram. But that is how you make 3D realistic lure eyes. Thanks for watching.